more, right? Because I think at the end of the day, Web3 is here to stay. I'm 100% Web3 is here to stay. If not, I would cut my dick off, right? I think this is definitely here to stay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
GM, everyone.
GM.
Welcome to the GM show. If you're new to the show, I'm sure I should introduce you the ABCs, which is Asia-focused, builder-friendly, and cool vibes, only powered by Memeland, home of Captain's Potato Steakland, and you're the real MVP. My name is Karen, and I'm your co-host, as well as head of social for Memeland. Hello, Casey.
Hey, everybody. Casey here. As you probably know by now, we love talking to founders, especially Web3 builders. And that's what this GM show is all about. Every week, we bring you new, exciting, cool projects and the founders behind them. Talk a little bit about the inspiration, give us some advice on building in Web3, and then hear a little bit about what they're actually building. And so that's what this is all about. But before we begin, Karen, let's hear a word from our chairman.
What is discussed on the GM show is not investment advice. We may or may not have ownership interests in the projects we are talking about, but this is not investment advice in any way, shape, or form. And this is not Sir David Attenborough.
So funny that we have that Jurassic Park thing, because I was just at Comic-Con this past weekend, and somebody is making a 1-to-1 scale T-Rex head from Jurassic Park as a collectible. It's like $18,000. It's just the head, and it's crazy. And it was like there on the show floor for people to buy. It was very exciting.
How much did you spend?
How much did I spend? I spent probably quite a bit of money there. It was very fun though. I'm a Dragon Ball fan, so lining up for Dragon Ball exclusives, that was the main thing. There were 3 of them. So getting that was big. They're promoting the new Daima show, which is coming out this fall. Goku's a little kid again. Very exciting. I guess the most relevant thing for our audience is Pudgy Penguins had 2 activations there. They had a show floor with the iceberg and all the toys inside, and then they had rented out a venue up the street and turned it into Pudgy World. And they had T-shirts, they had video games there, they had all the statues of the Pudgy Penguins to take photos with. People lining up to get into this thing. It was free. So if you don't know what Pudgy Penguins was, or you were not a holder, it doesn't matter. You're invited to come in. Staff was super friendly. I didn't see Luca though. I think he was bouncing back between the 2 things, but I was impressed with what they set up there. And it's great because a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't know what this is, but it's so cute. I really like it." So can you imagine onboarding people into Web3 at Comic-Con just like this? It was fascinating. So I thought that was a great activation. I hope that we can do something like that in the future. I still think Memeland, the characters are just cute, right? And I think they're interesting. I think that if Pudgy can do it, I think other NFT brands can do it on the show floor. So.
Yeah, good showcase for any IP building project.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
That's a good point. It's like an IP show actually, right? You've got Marvel, you've got DC, you've got everybody in between. I'm sure everybody heard the news. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as Dr. Doom this time in the new Avengers movie. So that the excitement level is massive. Keanu Reeves was there. Obviously, Deadpool and Wolverine came out that weekend, so Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were there. Like, it's such a mixture, right, of tech, pop culture, IP, everything together. It's just like really one of the best events. Although I do call it a little bit of heaven and a little bit of hell, right? Because it's just so crowded. Everything's expensive. It was hot because it's in San Diego. But still, good time. Hopefully, Memeland, we can do something there next year. But hopefully, other NFT brands still reaching out to that audience will be there next year.
Well, speaking of good vibes, there is the biggest, or if not the biggest, Web3 event coming up in September, which is Token 2049 in Singapore, the world's largest Web3 event with 20,000 attendees. Are there 20,000 in Comic-Con? I'm not sure.
There's 120,000
Holy
nerds.
shit.
120,000 nerds in one place. That's crazy.
Yeah, and Singapore, there will be over 500 side events.
Wow.
If you didn't know, it basically takes the whole Marina Bay Sands area. And last year we had so much fun and basically eating all the conference food.
Oh, yeah.
They have the best laksa served in the lunch area. It's a very much an immersive experience, almost like a festival, to see a lot of project owners and investors all in one place in Asia. Even people outside of Asia will be coming. So yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, there'll be speakers coming from like Binance. The Binance CEO, Richard Tang, will be there. Solana co-founder Anatoly Yakovenko will be there. And even whistleblower Edward Snowden will probably be there virtually, but he is making the rounds at crypto shows nowadays. So it's a big deal that he's there. And a lot more. I'm sure maybe Donald Trump will show up. Who knows? Maybe he's going to make an appearance over in Asia to kind of talk about Bitcoin. I don't know. Title sponsors this year include, of course, OKX, BingX, Tron DAO, DWF Labs, BitGet, and our buddies at Bullish. It seems like it's going to be a great show. Last year, Ray was there, Karen, me, Conan. Everybody came down from Memeland. So is there any alpha drops on that? What are we going to do this year?
Yeah, we will have another big party, of course. More details to come, but it will be as big as last year, if not bigger. So yeah.
Will you bring those guns that shot the meme money out of it?
We will have something else. I'm sure.
Nice.
Have, some other exclusive
stuff.
Yeah,
last year's Memeland party was definitely the talk of the town, so it's great. And yeah, I feel like everybody I talked to in the since last year that were from maybe the States or from Europe, they're all coming down. They've heard the word. So this is the biggest show, I think, in the world actually right now for Web3 and crypto. Everybody's excited to come down to Singapore and also join us for some laksa. Maybe that should be the party. We should just rent out a giant laksa place.
All you can eat.
All you can eat. That would be amazing. All right. Okay, So let's get to this show, or else we can just talk about this for forever. Today on GM Show, we're very excited to have a company called Moonveil. Moonveil.gg is a L2-focused gaming ecosystem built with Polygon by a team of seasoned gaming and blockchain industry veterans, previously at Riot Games, Tencent, NetEase, FunPlus, and Carve. Having worked on major gaming titles such as League of Legends, Valorant, Minecraft, and World of Warcraft. Wow, okay, so these guys know what they're doing. The team is now producing and launching its own game on the Moonveil chain, with the first two titles being Aster Arc and Bushwhack. What are those? I don't know. Let's find out. Karen, who is our guest today?
He is, he was the former GM in China at Riot Games for 7 years, leading League of Legends, published in the Greater China area. He was the founding producer of LOL Wild Rift on LOL Mobile and incubation lead of TFT and LPL Esports Manager. And he was an ex-investment banker at CICC City before Riot Games. So banker turned gamer.
Nice.
Please welcome to the GM Show, founder and CEO of Moonveil Entertainment, MJ Wang.
GM, very nice opening, super inspiring.
To the
We have to
moon.
introduce you because this show is to the moon with Moonveil. We can't wait to learn more about you guys and learn more about you. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Super excited.
All right. So, MJ, every week we have founders come on the show. We ask them the same 15 questions to get some insight into your day to day life. What inspires you? What lessons can you pass on to the next generation building in Web3? So, let's start off with the first question. Karen, what is the first question?
Yes, let's go. So what's the one app you have on your home screen that not many people do? Is it a game? Is it your own game or some?
Is it a meditation app?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I have to think about that when looking at my home screen, and surprisingly, it's actually a work app or utility app. It's called a Time Buddy. So there's a website that's copying the similar feature or function called worldtimebuddy.com. That's more like a multi-time zone coordination that you can easily add the city's name and check out what time is it over there, and put multiple cities together to see how to coordinate a time to work with people from different time zones. So I think that app stayed at my home screen for at least over 5 or 6 years, because interestingly, my past decade is like a cross-border lifestyle that I'm always traveling between North America and Asia, and now in Web3, sometimes more different regions, continent regions or countries, that makes the time zone coordination very challenging for me.
Yeah.
Especially, no complaint, but lots of the meeting booking applications, including Calendly, is sometimes not that functional when coordinating with multiple time zones. So that one is my day-to-day check app on my home screen. I'm always looking at what time is it over there in Hong Kong, London, etc. Very exciting, and that's a very helpful app. So if I have to make a recommendation, I think it's really good for multi-time zone coordination, guys.
A lot of those apps have widgets now, right? So you can just have them on your lock screen if you have iOS or Android. That's a good thing. I had a friend. He is so, I don't, maybe this app hadn't existed yet or he doesn't know about it, but he has 3 iPhones. One for Hong Kong, one for Europe, and one for the US, and they all had different colors on the front. So like just one solid color, so that when he taps it, he knows exactly what phone it is. It's set to that time zone, and then what's in there. I was like, you carry 3 phones with you? And now I'm like, just get this app, right? Just get this widget on your one of them phones, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that exactly is going to be super helpful.
My superpower, which I really wanted to have, is to know exactly what's the time in different countries.
Yeah. If you say GMT plus 3, I'm already lost. I don't know what time that is.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know what
Okay.
GMT is. I don't know what plus 3 is. So you're going to have to tell me you're like what city you're in, and then I can figure out from there. All right, let's jump to the next question. What is something that has greatly influenced your life? Sometimes it's a book, it's a movie, a manga, or somebody.
Yeah, so I would say greatly means something significantly. So in a bad way sometimes. So I have to point out, I think one thing that significantly or greatly influenced my life would be the experience that I started my career when I was an investment banker. So it sounds like a surprise when you will make the introduction. But when I joined investment banking right after I graduated from college, that was 2008, 2009. That was exactly during the big financial crisis around that time. I think that was a time that I navigated a lot as a fresh guy in my career, that I'm not supposed to experience that much, because I was in the capital markets department looking at the capital markets fluctuation, how the market looks like, etc. And at that time, as a junior, I was asked to prepare a daily market fluctuation report for our clients, and that was exactly the time when we saw S&P, Nasdaq, Nikkei, etc., either increase or decrease 5% to 10% every day. Right? So that was kind of a very funny nightmare around that time about my workload. But I think what really influenced me a lot is to navigate the worst time of the capital market, that I was able to observe how fear people were and how what type of tragedy is happening. The giant companies that we talked a lot yesterday maybe just bankruptcy out of a sudden in overnight, right? So I think around that time is a way that we saw how brutal capital markets is in general, while in the same time understanding how the whole world is being coordinating with each other, while in the same time there's still a lot of uncertainty happening in the same time that cause a lot of trouble, and also making people reacting to that based on the fiscal policy, monetary policy, etc. So I think that kind of impact me a lot about understanding the market, respect the market, and know how that's been interacting with the human beings, with the human nature in general.
Great. Are you always a gamer, or you like how did that after being in the banking industry, like how do you turn into the gaming?
I didn't turn into gaming, so I was born to be a gamer. I was a lifetime hardcore gamer, so
Oh,
it's always more exciting to talk about my gaming experience. I was a lifetime hardcore gamer since I was a child. I was a teenager, so I used to be competitive level, professional level at StarCraft 1, which is used to be,
wow.
which was like 2 decades ago, around 2002, 2003. And I'm not sure whether you are familiar with that, but there used to be a thing called the World Cyber Game, or WCG. That was basically the worldwide Olympic Games of esports back in the days for StarCraft, CS, etc. And I used to represent my country to fight against Korean people in the global
Wow.
stage back in the days when I was 17, 18. So yeah, I spent a lot of time on the RTS game. And in college, at that time I was very immature and basically just try to pursue whatever other people said is good. So accidentally went to investment banking. After 3 years there, I figured that's definitely not something I'm interested, right? So I quit banking, came to my business school, and after that I joined Riot Games. So officially transitioned my career from banking to gaming. But even when I was in investment banking, lifestyle there sucks. So after leaving the office around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I still like spend 1 hour or 2 hours playing games around that time. I think
Wow.
that's something deeply in my vein, right? So even today, I told a lot of people a joke, right? So my biggest struggle is there's 4 things that I need to balance: my work time, sleep time, parental time, and my gaming time, which is super hard.
That should put into your bio, which is ex pro gamer. That's
Yeah, proudly putting that there.
that's a very good one.
Isn't esports going to be in the next Olympics?
It is. So in a weird way, so Saudi
It's
Arabia
time
is
to put
hosting that.
on those gloves again and get that chair back in order. I don't think there's an age restriction on that.
There isn't, but I think my muscle can't afford that anyway. Yeah, I'm just getting old.
That's what I mean. Get working out 4 years away.
Yeah, it's not that far. I hope that I can go back to my 20s, so I still have like 300 APM. It's called action per minute. That my finger was flying, but right now my finger was crawling.
Awesome. Okay, so what's the best investment you've made, and what were the returns? Is it the gaming time that you spent?
I would actually say yes, right? So I think the time that I spent on gaming was one of the biggest successful investment that I made. I'm not making that as an excuse, because I think for esports it was very exhausting, especially at some specific time when I was a teenager. I literally tried to become a competitive pro gamer around that time. So when I played StarCraft, that was literally 20 years ago. I spent like 10 to 14 hours per day playing Unstop RTS game in front of my PC. It sounds like normal for a lot of gamers. People may say, "Oh, I spend the whole day playing games as well." But I mean, competitive level RTS game is super hard. That every 30 minutes is kind of a nightmare for me if the game is being challenging. So sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But compare with the current games like even Valorant, League of Legends, I think one of the brutal thing for the one-on-one esports game is if you lose, you can't blame anyone else, right? If you play League of
Yeah.
Legends, either you carry or you lose the game, you could say it's either me carrying the whole game or someone else's fault that led me to the failure. But in one-on-one game, it's always your fault, right? So I think that was really exhausting to some extent. But all the time that I spent over there turned out to be a good investment for my life, not only for the fun memory that I can still recall, but also that anchor my career after my banking experience. That usually, for gaming companies, they won't accept someone from a non-gaming career background, I think I was super lucky that although I spent the first couple of years in traditional finance, the past pro gamer experience definitely paved my way to enter gaming industry. And also I think the couple of years hardcore professional gaming experience empowered me to have a strong resonance with what gamers want, how I can deliver something that gamers like. Speaking the same language with the same audience is always a fun experience. I think now is a different way to think about that. Is I think it's already impossible for me to leave this industry anymore.
Gamer for life.
Gamer for
Yeah,
life. Get
yeah,
get those tattooed on your hands there, on your fingers. When
good
you go
one.
out.
I will do
Gamer
that.
for
Yeah.
life. All right. Next question. Who is someone you're inspired by and why? Is it somebody, some game developer, some game player, or somebody completely different?
There's a lot of people that I feel really grateful about what I learned from them, how they inspired me in the past. But if I have to point one, I think that's some ex CEO of Riot Games who I worked with for nearly 7 years, called Niccolo Laurent. So I think he has controversial reputation among the industry within Riot for different reasons. But I do see him as someone who is literally the dedicated person to help Riot to transition from a startup model back to time before he stepped into CEO to a real gaming company with organized pipelines to deliver good experience while leveraging the strong talent from the company to work on the live ops game. So I think what inspired me from him is it's funny because I level up my career at Riot from a junior associate to director and ended up as a China CEO or China GM. And I think I learned a lot from Niccolo as well as the co-founder of Riot Games, Mark and Brandon, about the leadership, how to think about that from a non-traditional way, right? I think the education that I got back in the days from majored in economics as well as my career in investment banking were more like a traditional way of follow the routine, follow the procedure, help the clients, etc. While I think the lesson that I learned from those people, especially from Niccolo, is how to get shit done and how to focus on the gamer and the user experience and how to navigate the obstacle because it's gonna be there no matter how, right? And there's always no perfect scenario. There's always no perfect result. What's the best way to evaluate all those priorities and to deliver the things that people will enjoy and also will respect? Um, I think it's been breaking down into day-to-day operation a lot, but I think my mindset shifted a lot from my 7-year experience at Riot to understand how to be the one to drive delivery and how to lead and delegate the people to help me building the alignment with them and make things happen.
I think that's very lucky of you being inspired by a boss because like working with someone and also working in a company, it's hard to find someone like that. So I think that's very inspiring.
Yeah, I feel super lucky about that. And my career experience is quite weird, right? As you can tell from my profile. But I always met the right people at the right time that kind of enabled us to be where we are today about Moonveil and about me.
Awesome. So do you have any one conventional wisdom that you disagree with since you have such a non-traditional path?
uh, yeah, so people say experience is the best teacher, right? So I disagree with it. And I think experience matters, but experience is definitely not the best teacher, right? The best teacher is about how to counter conventional, counter experience. Because no matter how I think experience is someone navigated, someone experienced, aka from the phrasing, but no one can do the A/B test for your life, right? So you may feel that you made the right choice at some time. For example, I made a transition from banking to gaming. So people say, "Oh, MJ, you made the right choice because after that, finance is no longer the job that people respect a lot, and gaming is a new trend, especially in the past decade." But nobody knows if I was still an investment banker, what's going to happen to me, right? So nobody can do the A/B test with the same condition, with the same prerequisite to see how your life looks like if you made another choice, right? And those experience would be dangerous because someone who made it successful is because of his past background, prerequisite conditioning happening around, and all those uncertainties that he doesn't even know, right? So if simply following the experience that someone made it and someone built some successful case, and as long as I follow his route, I could be as successful as him, would be dangerous to provide a guidance because you can't copy the same prerequisite, those surroundings, peripherals, and also conditions to make that as the same case, right? So I think that's super dangerous. If everyone is following the experience either from himself or from some other people, then history will just repeat itself, right? So I see that as a very dangerous mindset. I think it matters that you can learn from a lot of people's failure, and also you can see how those people learn from their success. But I think in the end, by only following experience would provide a wrong guidance. And those who can really deliver things out or make it successful is by thinking about how to counter the experience, how to do something that's counter intuition to make that as a different case.
Very wise. Oh, Casey, you're
Yeah, you're muted.
Damn.
Casey.
It's the
There you
first
go.
time I lose. I lose a bet, I think, to Karen for that. Next question: what is one piece of advice you would give to a first-time founder? Lots of people still want to build in Web3. What is one piece of advice you'd give to somebody wanting to start today?
Simple phrase would be resilient and follow your heart, right? So along the way, there would be a lot of people give you challenges, give you difficult times, or give you the wrong advice. And if you are just being shaking around and also listening to different voices, lots of them are literally noise, right? So then you will feel that you're losing your direction, you're losing yourself. So I think for founders and for startups, to be super honest, I think it's a by default failure assumption, right? Because there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of problem that you don't even know what you're confronting. Not to mention that compared with big companies, you won't have that much experience you can leverage. There's a lot of people, there won't be that many people supporting you, and you definitely won't have that luxury to hire the best talent in the industry. So in my opinion, it's a by default failure. But I think those who can make it would be the one who navigate the failure, small one or big one, and then come back again, and then follow your heart to do the thing that you believe is right.
Awesome. So I'm sure you've had some advice given in the past. So what's the worst piece of advice you ever received? Is it people telling you, "Oh, you shouldn't be leaving banking," or "You shouldn't go into gaming"? What was that?
There's a lot, right? So I think the one that you mentioned are definitely kind of the consensus around that time, that people said you should not leave banking, you should not leave Riot Games, you should not do startup, etc. Yeah, so I would say the worst piece of advice that I ever received would be actually more of a practical executional one. I'll put it this way, right? I think the difference is that the one that you mentioned were definitely bad advice, but at that time I knew it was bad. Then it's not causing any problem to me. I think the worst advice that I had was the one that I literally believed and then turned out to be a very bad advice that I have to take the consequence of that to some extent. So the one that I received that was really a bad piece of advice is when I started my own company, lots of people were saying that you should hire the senior leadership from big gaming company, big internet company, and leverage their experience to make your startup successful, which turned out to be a very dangerous advice that don't do that. That's going to be the advice that I give to a lot of founders. I'm not saying the behavior itself is wrong. The action of hiring senior leadership, senior people from big companies, of gaming companies, internet companies, or Web3 companies, the action itself is not a problem. The problem is the people, because I think for startup, the mindset and also the protocol in general is going to be totally different from a running or working in a giant internet company or gaming company. For startup, it's about crushing the market, right? It's about how you differentiate yourself, deliver something that nobody has ever seen, and try to make something that never happened before happen, right? So with that said, I think the AKA senior leadership, or those who spend a lot of time in the traditional company or in the giant internet company, etc., are very easily to constrain their mindset to be safe, play safe, and try to follow the routine with a lot of resource to support them. That's, by the way, one of the reasons why I left Riot, right? Is that when left is getting big, I think it's getting more and more as a successful gaming company. But as an individual, I feel that I'm at the point to be more and more lazy don't want to challenge the intuition, don't want to challenge the convention. Well, mainly about how to play safe, how to get a better career there. Sometimes play political to make my salary better, to make my promotion happening sooner, instead of thinking about what I should deliver. Right. So I think that's the part of advice that I took from some other people 3 or 4 years ago, and turn out to be those people are not a good fit for startup. I think
Yeah.
startup is something different, about mindset, about the experience, and also the uncertainty that you have to embrace. So I won't categorize that to the same group of people, but I would say only by hiring senior leadership, leveraging their experience, is not going to be the way to pave the success for a startup.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. Rather
Yep.
hire hustlers than super experienced people who want to get things done rather than people who have brand names behind them. I've been in that situation too, so it's good to hear similar advice. All right. So now the next batch of questions is just we want to know more about your Web3 journey. So how did you get into Web3? Are you OG Bitcoin? Are you new NFT? Where did you get into this whole world?
So I'm not. I came to Web3 area about the beginning of 2022 when NBA Top Shot became a thing, and that drew our attention. So we started to do some research on that. But I think the way that I get relatively more closely engaged was the time that when my previous Web2 startup was hit very heavily by the COVID, so it's about to close down, and at that time we haven't started Moonveil yet. So I joined a friend sent me an invitation, and TLDR is I ended up joining their crypto fund to be their part-time partner for nearly a year. At that time, I was quite skeptical about Web3 GameFi, especially by looking at the quality of the GameFi around that time. I was like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
So I spent basically a year to talk to the founders who try to raise funds to build Web3 games, to understand how they are thinking about the future, why they care about Web3, where the opportunities are, etc. So I actually talked to a lot of even some of the famous projects during the last cycle and also this cycle. Some of them recently got listed to learn their thinking process, which actually was quite helpful. I think that kind of shaped my early mindset by discussing with different founders from different area. Some of them are cheating, right? Some of them are really dedicating to the area. That helped me to think about what exactly is the value that we can leverage Web3 to bring to games. I think in the end, kind of transitioned me to be a real believer that we truly believe in the Web3 value we would be leveraged to make the gaming better.
All right.
Great. So did you get into NFTs at all? What was your first NFT, and did you learn anything? Do you still own it?
Yes. So first NFT was NBA Top Shot, if you see that as an NFT, but not a typical NFT.
Yeah.
But I think that thing was quite interesting. That even inspired me a lot back in the days, and we still have a lot of lessons to learn from them. Although today, I think Dapper Labs is no longer that active anymore, nor the Flow chain as well. But I think the way that they tap into Web3 is literally finding a very good utility point to upgrade the traditional card collection fan base, etc., to be something more as an upgraded digital content collection fan base, while providing a seamless experience for the wallet integration, identity integration, etc. So I'm not saying that their approach is always good, because they definitely made a lot of mistakes in the past couple of years. But I think the way that they made the balance between how to build a Web3 authentic native experience versus the seamless experience to embrace Web2, potentially getting prepared for mass adoption, was at least at the right start point.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Are you still trading and buying NBA Top Shot, or you just stopped?
I stopped trading. I'm still holding some of them passively. Can't sell. Just
Dapper
no
is still
value at all.
around. They just launched. They're launching Disney ones now, so they're still out there. I don't know how active the Top Shots are, but they're always they're still out there, trying to build. Waiting for the market to go back up, I guess. But it's interesting. There's a lot of companies doing those collectible types of licensed, mass market brands, and I think we'll still see a lot more in the next year or so. But I hope they can recover, because they did do a lot, build a lot of brand awareness of what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. Hope they can do a better job.
Yeah. Okay, and the next question here, and the final one in this kind of beginning part of our questions. What is one misconception about Web3 that you'd like to change? So it's interesting to hear you kind of came in a little bit later than most into it, but you also, because of that, you've probably seen a lot of negative media press around Web3 and maybe around gaming. So like when your friends or your relatives ask you, hey, is that, what is the one thing they kind of ask you all the time that you think is something, or something that you read a lot that you would like to change that perception of it in the media or just with normal people?
Web3 is a scam.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a misconception that I would prefer that at some point we can shift to that, especially from the traditional gaming area. I think people are still holding a very strong stereotype about Web3 gaming. I think there's a couple of reasons, right? One is along the last bull market, there was a lot of projects that basically took the trend of the beta, but didn't really show what the good game should be. Then I think they are flash in the pan, but when they come down, people will say that's a scam for those projects. And that's not going to be the representative of Web3 in the future, no matter how. And two is that I think for any new trending in human history, right? The first adopter are always those people who are more sensitive about alpha, about profit, want to come in as a speculator, which is normal, right? So thinking about how the internet bubble looks like back to 2000-ish, while the whole internet literally just came back 10 years after that to make the mobile internet more popular afterwards. But I think
Right.
the early adopter are always those people who are sensitive. Doesn't mean it's already the time when the whole thing is ready to embrace a mass adoption. I think that caused a lot of misinterpretation or misconception about that. But in the end, I think most of the people haven't realized the meaning of Web3, why that matters. Put the buzzword aside, right? I think even from the decentralized identity and also the assets ownership, as well as the by default conditions and output to be endorsed by a smart contract, etc., will be able to change a lot of pain points from the traditional gaming, which is just not there yet.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's get into the business. We want to know more about the project for sure. So what are you building right now?
So we are building Moonveil. Moonveil is a ZKR2 focused gaming ecosystem with product always as a focus that we want to leverage the ecosystem play to empower the game, to make the gamer experience better, to make the ecosystem more complete. So we are built by me and a team of seasoned gaming veterans and blockchains OGs, etc. That we started as a game studio focusing on the products, but then figure out that not many infrastructure and tooling and service in this area that we can literally trust to guarantee the experience that we want to deliver. So the game product, game quality is always our focus, that we develop the in-house game as a start, but leveraging the operational layer that we have regarding the identity, data operation, etc., together with the infrastructure of L2 to empower the game experience. So that's where we are at this moment. We started to build Moonveil since end of 2022, but spending basically the first 40 months quite silent and secretly moving ahead with the product first, until earlier this year that we started to put ourselves under the spotlight, growing the community. So far, we did see the community as quite excited about our approach. With put aside the social media, we have the Moonveil sign up about 240K ish. Going through the soft KYC that we know what type of gamer they are, and providing the best route for them to prove themselves, making contributions, and co-build together with us.
Okay, that sounds great. And then, so why did you start it? Obviously, this is something you've been thinking about a lot, but why now?
I think that was after my conversation with multiple founders when I was at the crypto fund, that we definitely saw the underserved audience over there, an untapped opportunity that we would be able to leverage Web3 to build great games, to make the gamer experience better. While in the same time, I think we always have a dream. I always have a dream as a founder and a hardcore gamer, that I want to build some games that I like, and also I can have the resonated audience to love our game as well. Potentially, we can co-build that together. So I think for a gamer, especially for someone who spent like a couple of years in a top tier gaming company, building something by myself or ourselves would be something deeply in our vein, right? So we started from over there by building the products. That's the game title that you saw at the beginning, called Astro R, kind of bushwhack. That everything started from scratch, and we felt that's the right timing. That we see the value. Well, the whole market doesn't have a benchmark, right? So we want to be the benchmark to justify the game quality as well as the interoperability by leveraging the ecosystem play. I think timing wise, it's good and bad, right? Bad thing is after we started, the whole bear market hit, which is a bummer. I didn't expect that coming so soon. But the good thing is that I think bear market is the best environment to build products because founders can't be lazy, right? Founding team can't be lazy. We have very limited runway no matter how because it's bear market. We won't be able to raise like millions of US dollar only by a deck. We have to showcase our progress, our delivery, and our content, why it's good before we hit the next milestone to get the trust from the community or investors and also the partners to help us to move further. So a lot of people that we saw from the bull market raising a lot of money lost their motivation to move ahead, right? So I think for us, it's the best timing for founders, although it's hard. And also it's the best timing when the whole market is still at early stage that doesn't have any benchmark, which is the best way, right? So the worst case is when you're building anything social, people would say, "Oh, how you compete with Facebook?" When someone is building a MOBA, it's like the question is how you compete with League of Legends. That's the worst case that you either justify the market is big enough or saying that you are better than the big one, right? It's always even more challenging.
So you've been building this for a while now. So what's the one lesson you learned so far? And is there anything that's unexpected from, your entire gaming career?
There's a lot. So that's two questions, right? So unexpected lesson or unexpected problem that we saw is I think the whole market or the whole industry in Web3, especially Web3 gaming, is even more immature than I expected previously. That means that even the infrastructure, marketing agency, all the partners that we work with, are lack of not only experience but also the mindset to think differently. I think when we work with a lot of partners, they are always referring, "Hey, I did a what deal 1 month ago, 2 months ago. Look at how successful they are, and we should work with each other." But the whole thing that anyone could be popular or being a hyper game is because they are different, right? So I think the whole market is not there yet. The lesson that I learned, right, is if I'm bringing that to a higher level, besides the granular cases that I mentioned, is I think it's a balance that we have to make between on one side what we aspire to make, how we want to commit ourselves for good products, authentic Web3 leverage to make that as a benchmark, as what I mentioned, hopefully. So that's our vision. While versus on the other side, what's the reality today and what's existed, what's not existed based on the current capability and capacity and the maturity of the market, what we can do to figure out how we get there, how we fill the gap. Right, I think that's the biggest lesson that we learned. We saw definitely a lot of I call that scam projects that rode the journey of the beta during last bull market. They cash out, that's great, but where they are, they don't exist anymore. On the other side, we also saw a lot of Web2 builders wanted to step into the area but failed. Why? Because as what I mentioned, to go back to the beginning of this conversation, right? They don't respect the market. The market is always where it is right now. That although we have a vision where the market should be in 5 years, 10 years, you can't change it, right? So we have to respect the market, understanding the reality, where the audience is right now, who are the big players at this moment, and what's the maturity level at this moment to figure out the way to fill the gap and get shit down to move us towards the vision that we aspire.
Good.
Okay.
Good. All right.
So that leads us to the question.
Everybody's waiting to hear that
Yes.
drop. So, what is the alpha for Moonveil?
Yeah, so starting from April, we started to run a campaign called Rocket to the Moon, with the Moonbeam as loyalty program points, which I hate this word. Why did it have to be loyalty? But anyway, which is a points that we want to embrace the audience coming into the ecosystem by joining different type of activities, quests, playing games, etc. They will be anchor their identity in the ecosystem. So for the campaign that we have two battle pass or passes, one is standard, one is a premium pass. So premium pass is a way that usually we only embrace those people who can literally justify they're not only making contribution, but in a way better way than other people, either as an OG or strong evangelizer or really good gamer. So we would love to give out 10 premium passes today for the listeners
Whoa.
from a whitelist potentially that we want to
Wow,
encourage them to leverage what they have to join our ecosystem and co-build the whole ecosystem with us together.
that's
Great.
awesome. Wait, so what do they have to do? Like, what's some requirements?
So for the listeners who can get the premium pass today, I think we can go through a whitelist raffle process. So they don't have to do anything to get the premium pass. But I think the alpha that they can get is about how they can leverage the premium pass to work with us to co-build the ecosystem with us together. The way that we want to anchor the contribution is we definitely don't want to simply follow those point farming, but instead we want to embrace who they are and respect their identity. So either you are a strong social engagement participant, or being a whale, or being a really good gamer, or being a strong content creator, etc. Whatever is the way that they can contribute the most based on their talents, their expertise, we want to embrace that by providing more on-chain assets, which is being reflected as a moonbeam that they can earn today. So short answer is by default, premium pass holder will be able to earn more moonbeam even on the daily quest, but we want to embrace them by empowering more about the benefit in the future in the same time.
Great.
Awesome. So, what's like some things that we can look forward to as the next season comes?
So it will come very soon. So my team is working their ass out to make something awesome happen. I definitely want to share more, but I think I got a warning from my team that I can't talk too much about it. So there's a couple of things that I can anchor here. One is as an ecosystem with a product focus, game focus as our core, we definitely want to expose more games to our audience, to our gamers, for them to try. So there would be more than 3 games that would be able to be play tested in the next 6 weeks also. So we want to make that session play essentially.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I love it. So there would be a session play. I think the story that we want to let everyone know, right, is that we want to be respectful to gamers, and not every single gamers is good at every single games. It's impossible. So we want to deliver different type of experience, while also being open about the new type of games, new type of channel for different gamers to come over. So that's one. There would be more than 3 games being exposed for play tested in the next 6 weeks. Number two is August is going to be noisy, so keep tuned. And we are moving ahead with some real strong milestone about our L2 as a chain that even for the infra, we would love to expose more details for people to really interact, participate, and contribute to our side as well. So there's going to be a lot of noises in August. Keep tuned. I'm personally very excited.
All right.
Very, very
Great.
exciting. Yes. So here goes the last question. We asked everybody the same question. Obviously, would love to hear what's your prediction. Is what's the future of the gaming industry in Web3? What's your personal interest?
Yeah, so I think in the end, right, if I'm looking at the next 3 years, 5 years or so, I would say people don't have to feel Web3, but make that as a by default route for them who are getting engaged deeply in games for every single games that they want to play, right? So when people started to justify what's the value that they can get over there, it's gonna be a trend that nobody can avoid. Web3 gaming is inevitable. I love that phrase, by the way. So I think in the end, people don't have to understand Web3 or feel Web3, but in the end, they can enjoy the value being brought over there by better recognizing their profile, their ownership, their interoperability, etc., that they can make all those games meaningful enough for themselves by leveraging the decentralized identity, decentralized value from Web3.
Absolutely.
Great.
I think that's like a very, very good way to put it. Will you be coming back to Asia this year?
Always. I'm traveling to Asia like 8 times, 9 times per year, I would say. So I think I'm going to be in 2049 for sure. KBW, still thinking about that. I think the side event, I heard the side event is more attractive than the main venue. So yeah, we're still trying to get some meaningful exposure over there if possible. So it depends. But 2049, yes.
All right. We'll see you in Singapore.
Yeah. Great to
We're
meet
so
you.
great.
Very exciting project. Everybody can follow you on the socials to find out more as usual. So we'll see you live in person not too in like 6 weeks, right? We're pretty far and we're pretty close to it already.
Absolutely. Or even sooner.
Yeah. All right,
All
MJ,
right.
thanks.
Thank you so much. And we will see you again next week.
Woo-hoo.